Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show, a podcast by SaaStock. Here we interview SaaS founders from around the world who've been there and done that, as they share the ins and outs of how they built their businesses, their operations, their path to securing investment, and more. Our mission with the podcast is to help you, the founder, learn how to scale your SaaS, maintain your well-being, and navigate the complexities of this ever-changing industry. I'm your host, Theuma, and together we'll explore the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey to SaaS success. Welcome back to the SaaS Revolution Show. I am your host, Theuma, CEO and founder of SaaStock and general partner of Back Future Ventures. Delighted to be joined today by Dominik and who's the CEO, co-founder at Storkblok. How are you doing, Dominik?
Hi, Alex. Really great, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to have you on the podcast. Where's home? You're in the home office at the moment, or is this in the? Do you have a physical office?
Yeah, this is my forever home. It's actually a home office, yes, but we don't have any offices. We are fully remote, so the whole company is already set up like this, basically.
Very cool. And where are you based?
Right now in Austria, Linz, so a really small town, about 1.5 hours out of Vienna.
Very nice, very nice. It's been probably, and maybe showing my age here, but I want to say at least 20 years since I've been to Austria, and I've only been to Vienna, but Instagram is selling me on, summer vacations in Austria could look pretty nice, or they do look pretty nice, but it could be pretty good. I think, unfortunately, my kids, they're 9 and 10. I'm sort of in this, I don't know, the zone or kind of, where I'd like to do these like mountainous summer holiday, the traditional Alps thing where people think about the winter vacations and it looks lovely, but in the summertime, they're also really nice, right? And my kids are just not that interested yet, or I haven't done a good enough sales job on them.
Oh, there are a couple of things you can do. There's like a Sommerrodelbahn, it's called in German. So think of it as going down a mountain rail with nothing else than like a sheet of plastic underneath you, and it's going really, really fast, and you have no control, but it's actually really fun. So there's a lot of cool things you can do. Not at all.
No? Okay.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, good. So I've got one kid that likes danger and one that doesn't. She wouldn't go down the log flume with me.
Yeah.
Recently at one of the fun fairs. But Dominik, would love to start with just getting to know you a little bit better, for the audience's sake. So we'd love to ask you, who is Dominik and
So, hi everybody. So my name is Dominik and I'm this person that Alex was just describing. And I've been a software engineer my whole life. And by whole life, I really mean when I was really, really even a small kid. My dad was a hardware and software engineer and got my first PC when I was 3 years old, playing some games, getting to know Visual Basic, trained from my dad essentially, and then moved into software engineering really, really quickly. And so with just the age of about 15, I started to go on a rogue freelance kind of mission and trying to build as many websites and applications I could. And it turns out that when you start really young, you learn a lot. And if you then get to know people through meetups and developer communities, you end up at really nice places. Like I was working for agencies in the Netherlands, I was working for companies in Germany and Switzerland. And later on, ended up at an agency, a large agency here in Austria, and took over the whole services and maintenance part, so after sales and also development of those new product features. And at one point, we then realized, we need to start something, not because we wanted to, but because we found an issue, and then Storkblok arose. And for the last 8 years, I've turned a software engineer to CEO and all steps between. Happy to share more on that. But in the root of all of that is still the software engineer that likes to play games.
Oh, I can see I don't know what console that is, but pinned up the wall. I can see a Game Boy, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And then what is that a PlayStation like control?
Perfect. Yeah, that's PS4 controller. Here should be a PS5 controller. Actually, it's not yet there because it's currently in use. But I do play on the PC, but the controllers on PlayStation are just way more ergonomic.
Do you know what I've heard? So, like, you're a CEO of a company, a scaling company. You've been doing this for 8 years. Obviously, on the podcast, we speak to a lot of scaling CEOs. And we know, like, it's a difficult job, scaling, being a CEO, like managing a big team of people. And we need to look after ourselves, take some time off, allow the brain to kind of let switch off. I understand, and I don't do it enough usually because I'm like too tired in the evenings. But like playing, being a gamer, playing like, role player games or, let's say anything on the PlayStation really doesn't allow you to think about like work, right? And it just doesn't allow you to kind of just sort of like switch off and, focus on what you're playing. And so I have had CEOs on the podcast that is their way, that, in the evening, they're gaming until sort of like late at night. So it's not, I did buy a PlayStation and I haven't quite managed to get into it sort of like quite yet. But is that something that you do, or you find, it's a bit of escapism?
For sure. It's rooted in childhood for sure. And I have to say, like, the things I played in the beginning were MMORPGs, so massive multiplayer online roleplay games. The most well known would be World of Warcraft, even though I've never played it. But the reality is, you learn a lot about leading a company through those kind of games, because you're suddenly surrounded by a lot of people, and you have to self-organize yourself in a team, which in there is like alliances or guilds, or however you want to call it. And you have hunters, you have farmers, you have people that are working on economic side, inventory side. So if you listen closely, there's even a hunter-farmer model in sales, right? So actually, there are a lot of similarities on how people are running a guild versus how you can run a company. And by now, I don't play too much, to be honest. I don't have that much time. And similar, as you mentioned, when you're late at night and just finished up your day, you're really, really exhausted. But from time to time, some friends of mine, they call me up like, hey, Dom, you need to join now. So log into Discord in Steam and let's play around. So it really helps to like calm down and focus on something else, and you have more energy afterwards, which is really nice.
Very cool. And Storkblok itself, so you launched it more than 8 years ago. Can you just paint a picture, a little bit of the size of the company? I think you're in the venture capital path, how much you've raised, any data you can share around that?
Of course. So we're now at 270 people in 47 different countries. We raised a total of 138 million, where the latest round was end of last year with 80 million, which, by the way, should be our last round, to be fully honest. It should actually allow us to hit profitability, 100 million ARR in the next 2 years. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as we are growing right now, we're still hiring, especially software engineers on the backend side, something that I'm really, really looking eagerly to add more to our amazing development team. And so by now we did a total of 4 rounds. So this has now been our Series C. Mm-hmm. And pretty exciting. We use this money now to actually tackle the US. We started doing that already in the beginning of last year. And with that 80 million, we are now really, really doubling down to head over to the US.
Very cool. Very cool. And like heading over, so you waited for Series C to head over into the US?
We did it earlier. So we raised 47 million in our Series B in the beginning of 2022, which we used to really double down in EMEA and become somewhat of a headless CMS content management system, basically leader in the EMEA market. And at one point we realized, okay, we still have enough cash left, and we can already start going to the US, which we then did by the beginning of 2024. So establishing the company, setting everything up, setting up the first customer accounts and also infrastructure, rolling it out globally in a like a scalable way. And then we realized, okay, it's working. We can accelerate it. So we decided to do one more round to get the cash into the company, so we don't have to raise again, no matter how the market shifts or if anything happens. So what we realized is that if we have the cash in the bank, we can operate with it. We don't have to spend it. We have to invest it. And that's what we're doing right now. So we got an amazing head of sales now in Amer, which is on the ground, really with the people that we have there. We're currently looking for a chief revenue officer located on the East Coast as well, which is a really, really interesting kind of hire to find. Given that it's the person that allows me to go back to product a little bit more. So this chief revenue officer that we're searching should take over sales and partnership, or channel sales, however you want to call it, and really, really drive sales, not just in the US, but globally. And it's really, really exciting, to be honest. So we did not wait for the Series C. We decided to tackle it with the money that we still had of the Series B, but the Series C is again now to accelerate and double down.
Was there ever a kind of like a process of where you were thinking about, like, do you as the CEO need to relocate to the US, and thinking about that, having discussions with the VCs, with the family, but ultimately obviously like deciding to stay in Austria?
I have those conversations every other month for sure. But so far we realized that we have a completely distributed team with a distributed set of customers, not just in AMER and EMEA, but also in APAC. Like we literally are the only headless content management system with an infrastructure in mainland China, so behind the firewall, because we have customers also in that area of the world. And it's so interesting that none of our VCs have pushed me to move because it would, of course, increase the cost of living that we're having. And right now, I'm in like this 55 square meter flat. Finally, I got like an office kind of room with windows, which is super amazing. Highly recommend actual sunlight, which was not the case in my previous setup. And it's so much cheaper. I mean, I'm at like €800 fixed costs per month. That's something you will not get in the US, unfortunately.
No, very cool. And like in terms of then like your sales motion, is it an enterprise-led sales motion? Like, what is the ACV of like Storkblok? So like, do you still get involved in the sales? Is it a lot of it done remotely and efficiently? Or you mentioned the people on the ground, like in the US, are they having to go and visit customers?
So it's in Storkblok we have two revenue streams. One of them is a PLG motion, which makes about 30% of our business. So think of developers and people that just tried your Storkblok, really liked it, they swipe a credit card and just grew from within the PLG motion. There's no touch with any salespeople. There's no touch with anybody at Storkblok. Maybe the support if they need anything or the community in Discord, but it's pretty much self-service. There are all sizes of companies in there. So it's not just small businesses, but it's really a variety of companies that started out using Storkblok. And 70% of it is called something that we call sales-led growth, which is basically upper mid-market to enterprise. Those are the two areas that we really focus on, in particular infrastructures, or not infrastructure, industries that we try to tackle. And for that, we do have people on the ground. Even though majority of the things that we do online through even Trumpet kind of setup where they have a proper view on what's going on, like a proper display of, hey, this is the content, this is the sales motion, this is the process we're following. But sometimes, especially on the larger side of deals with larger automotive customers, larger finance people, larger pharma companies, we do tend to also visit them if it's required, if they want to do that. It really depends on the RFP that they have, or if we already are in the middle of talks with them and just be in the area. We're also going to have an event called JoyConf later this year, which is really, really big. It's actually 3 different events where we bring together prospects, existing customers, partners, just for them to meet at each other at an easier kind of way where nobody has to organize meeting rooms or anything like that. It's just a way easier way of communicating and talk to people.
A couple of questions there. So, like going back to 8 years ago, did you launch both with PLG and sales led, or did you bring one in like after the other?
Yeah, so definitely after another. So we started with PLG, and I have to be honest, Alex, we did not start at Storkblok to build a business in the first at the root of Storkblok, there was not a business idea, to be fully honest. So my co-founder, which is also named Alex, and I were both part of that agency, and we were using this enterprise content management system from the Austrian press agency at the time for all of our clients. And we're talking customers like Adidas, Reebok, Silhouette, and similar, like large B2B and B2C companies that were using the solutions that we built on top of that. And instead of fixing a bug where we send a report to them, hey, please fix it, you have like 3 months, they did not do that. They actually replied on that email to us with, hey, we're actually shutting down the business. Please find something else. We're not going to do any updates on that. And you have 6 months. So for us to get started, what we did is we tried to get all the data out of that system into one cohesive kind of database with qualitative structured content. That's the core of the idea that we had. And we then wanted to find a solution to bring it into other content management systems, because we had the clear idea to not build a CMS. And at that point, we then realized, after testing, like the usual suspects of WordPress type of 3, we looked into Drupal, then we looked into Acquia, which is like an enterprise version of Drupal, then Adobe, Sitecore, and so on. We tried all of them in actual projects and realized that we were significantly slower in implementation. And that's when 2 of our customers came to us, hey, we have 2 more months left. What should we do? So we build something, should we try something? And we were like, okay, the use case that we're trying to tackle right now is storytelling for e-commerce products and with structured reusable content modules that we called blocks. So storytelling with blocks. And what we did is on top of that database where we already had all the data basically sitting in that we used to build websites independently to the software in the background, we then applied the UI on it. So we then built based on our own API, user interface that works for marketers. And it turns out that this user interface then started to grow. We had a login mask, registration mask for people to just sign up. And a month later or 2 months later, after we launched it in like September 2017, we realized, hey, there are so many people already registered on the platform. We didn't even have Stripe integrated or anything like that. And then they just shared Storkblok in communities. They shared the articles that we wrote on how to build certain things on top of a headless content management system like we are. And suddenly, 3 months later, we're profitable. We have 3,000 users on the platform, purely word of mouth. And that's when we then said, okay, now we need to step into it. We need to really get things going and build it out in a proper way. So for the next 2.5 years until the end of 2019, we fully bootstrapped. So it was just Alexander and myself building it up, building more product features on top of it, or the first prototype that we had, and build it up on an actual viable product. And at 1 million ARR, purely PLG, we then had first enterprise customers reach out to us about, hey, how about the redlining? We want to have a certain SLA. We want to have certain customer success setups. And we're like, guys, we're like 2 people. Let us figure it out in the next couple of months, and then we can talk. So that's when we raised our first round. We got it twice from First Minute, from FreeVC, and also from Founders Factory, which is like a startup accelerator in the UK. And it was a tremendous help for us to really get stuff done really, really quickly in the beginning. And then we ramped up the team based on the things that we have learned and absorbed from the team there. And we then scaled to 20 people, 200 people, 200 people in the coming years. But in the beginning, it was purely PLG. There was no SLG even in our heads. It was purely people sign up with the credit card and we implement Stripe, and let's be done with it.
You mentioned sort of earlier as well the user conference that you run as well, which you said is kind of like 3 different events, right? You're bringing prospects, customers, and another stakeholder. Sorry, I forget.
Partners.
Yeah. And like, how long have you been doing that? What is the ROI? Like, how do you kind of like measure that? Because in a lot of SaaS companies, they have user conferences, they start them at different times, they run them generally at a loss or break even. But I'm sure, obviously, you've done right. There is some good ROI from it. So I don't know what you can share, around that.
So for now, I cannot share anything because it's our first time doing it.
Oh, it's the first time. Okay. So you waited 8 years to do it.
So, you need to have a certain maturity to make sense of it. We, in the past, always were part of conferences. And by now, our community is so big. Our customers have so many amazing stories to tell that we decided that we want to create a platform for that. We also, end of last year, actually, about a year ago now, and we brought in a new CMO, which is called Mark Wheeler. And Mark has been with LeanIX, Nutanix, Sitecore, and many other companies before. And one of the things that he really wants to drive is that people understand how amazing our customers are and the stories they can tell, and also what our partners, which are software engineering agencies, what they can actually deliver when it comes to content experiences and the amazing things that they've been building over the last couple of years. And when he pitched us the idea of JoyConf, which is about the joyful headless setup that we have, coming from like the ease of use of the platform, and where we actually have a scientific proof that we are joyful. Like people using Storkblok actually have a higher rating in happiness, which is really interesting to know. And we then decided, okay, let's do it properly. Let's do one in EMEA with Amsterdam, a huge show essentially, and then one in New York and one in Los Angeles later this year. And happy to give you an update afterwards for sure.
Yeah,
I believe there will be just a high return of investment with customer satisfaction and revenue retention. I'm quite sure about that. And let's see how many people actually are getting infected by the joy of other people enjoying Storkblok, and maybe they like it and subscribe.
Well, good luck with that. I know putting on events is not easy.
Yeah,
but would love an update afterwards, and I'm sure it works out. And I love the name as well, JoyConf. So it's a good place, a good start. As well. And Dominik, obviously we're in this era now, which is being dominated by AI, right? I think across all sectors and industries. And, it certainly is having I would say, a big and positive impact in B2B software in SaaS, right? Now, you started the company 8 years ago, so if you don't mind me calling you a traditional SaaS company, when did you start thinking about AI? What is your AI strategy? Are you know, looking at becoming AI first, sort of AI native? Like, would love to learn more about that.
For sure, and I believe it should be true for all the founders out there that have been around for quite some time. The moment you first used ChatGPT, sent your first prompt and received the result that was not completely wasted, but actually something like, oh, I can see potential in here. That was the time where we already started to think about, okay, how can we use that new set of technology out there? Because at the end, it's just another tool that we can utilize to help our customers create more value. So when we looked into it, what are the first things that we started doing? Of course, content creation, proofreading, translation. We already launched AI translation with one button click inside Storkblok. Another thing is when you upload images to Storkblok or assets of any kind, we can generate alternative text, which is super powerful and important when you come to accessibility in terms of like really get people access to images if they cannot see them, if they only have screen readers. It can be fully automated, and even the translation of the alternative text can be automated. Then it's about content optimization and making sure that you have the proper SEO topics set. And given that SEO by now is also something on a dying state with all the AI search going on, I mean, there's been a report coming up by, I believe it was from SimilarWeb, and the other statistic was the growth of HubSpot search volume, if I'm not mistaken, where you can see a drop in the traffic directly coming from Google and similar. So that's really, really predominant. That's the whole journey of the buyer journey itself is changing fundamentally. So everything that we have been trusting, that people are beginning the search through Google, jumping on your landing page and converting. We now, even at Storkblok, already have customers that literally sign up immediately, hitting the app.storkblok.com sign up site immediately, not through Google or any landing pages. They just search for a content management solution through AI searches, be it Perplexity, be it ChatGPT, or any kind of setup that you might have, and jump in building something. And that's the reality that we need to focus on. So the way we are now incorporated is by automating a lot of things for customers. We started to integrate and launch our whole own tool, how to set up an MCP server. And you can literally do that in less than a day and connect it with any agents. There's currently a few really nice integrations with, I would say, sister companies of ours when we look into our investors. Currently being built, which is enabling our customers to then build even more. I mean, we had one customer already look really, really deeply into how they can automate and use content from Storkblok, which is validated, approved, and I would say highest quality that you can produce within a content or marketing organization, because it has the approval workflow built in to then power FAQs, automated bots, agents that you might need. And one thing that we are going to launch is going to happen at TroyConf later this year, which should shake up the industry. I'm really, really looking forward to it already. But the majority of things that we're building is already out there in terms of like an AI brand awareness kind of topic, where we check if you are on tone, if you are on brand, if you are on the setup that you actually want to have when you purchase something. I believe personalization at scale will be super important, because all of us have been at that point where, and shout out to Mark, our CMO. I need to tell that story. So Mark purchased a gift for his wife, which is like a red dress. Has been years ago, and since that day, he still receives ads for red dresses. And I can tell you, he's not the right target audience for that ad. And sadly, right now, personalization is done on maybe 1, 2, or 3 variables. And all of us had that experience. We go on Amazon, we purchase a fridge or whatever we want to purchase that we for sure will not buy for the next 3 years. But the day after, we get like 40 different ads for another fridge that we might want to purchase. And to be honest, like, this is super annoying. And there's something we can do about it in a wider scale in the industry. And I believe there's a lot of things that we can do where we can generate certain content pieces, better ads, better campaigns, and at the end, way more value for our customers and their customers at the end as well. And it's going to be huge. It's not just AI features with generation of images and text, like that's basic stuff. It really comes down to content observability. How good is your content? Are you on brand? How updated is it? And then also content orchestration and how you connect it with different other tools that you have to make sure it's consistent and not a little bit good here, really bad here. On landing page, it's good. On the AI search that comes up, you have an article from 2018 that doesn't make sense anymore. So it needs to be really smooth throughout all the different channels. That's how I think about it. I'm not allowed to share the amazing feature and the actual products that we have built up, but it's an extension to the content management game. So if you want to know more about that, you will have to reach out to our sales team and ask a little bit. And
would you consider yourselves now like an AI company, or
No.
are you're a SaaS sort of like a business with AI functionality?
So I don't think there is going to be the term of AI companies out there for any longer, because people are also started, we build on AWS, we build on Azure. Reality is now it's an infrastructure, it's a commodity, it's a tool that we are using. And same with blockchain and all the other kind of infrastructure tools that came up in a couple of years prior to today. And in the future, AI is default. So if you're not having AI features and compatibility and integrations, you're just not existing anymore. So the reality is that any company that calls itself AI company, that's a marketing stunt right now. It makes sense. You should do that for sure to make sure that you're listened to, you're heard, and people understand that you have those capabilities. But in the next couple of years, it's about how you're going to use it to create more values for your customers. And this is how you need to think about it. So if you're ignoring it, most likely you will not be here in the next 5 years, because the whole roles that we have right now in companies is about to change, and is already changing right now. Marketers really need to get more tech enablement. They need to be way more savvy when it comes to the data. When we look into developers, they can be way quicker on the prototyping side, maybe not for production code all the way when it's about wipe coding because of security concerns, so that at least we as software engineers have. But there's a lot of potential for prototyping, and there's so much more speed that we can get out of it. And I would not say we're an AI company. We're a company that builds features with AI in its background that enables our users to really get something done quicker. And if you try to solve content and get high quality content out to your audience on every channel, it doesn't matter if it's a website, mobile application, or an LLM search, you need to be prepared for that. And I believe Storkblok is the best tool for that.
And like beyond, let's say, the company and the products, you as a CEO, like how are you using AI? What is your AI stack? And how is it helping you?
Yeah, so we now introduced Slack AI inside Storyblok's organization because we are using Slack already predominantly. Really helps us with workflows internally. Not yet to the full extent, but we're looking into this. Zendesk has an amazing feature set where we are talking about support and really customers in itself. We are also have been using OpenAI with our own product setup that of course we also use internally because we also use Storkblok, and I myself of course I still use Storkblok on a daily basis, which is really nice. When I look into Gong, for example, that's something I use heavily. It's all about the sales forecast and the metrics summaries of our current deals that are going on. So a lot of help where I can consume more information, more data, get context quicker, and ask relevant questions faster. This is what I would consider. I'm not yet incorporating like Perplexity or something like that in my own daily kind of processes. Yes, I use it to get a quick glimpse, and then I need to verify it because I cannot go around and share hallucinated data to some extent. So as soon as this is getting better, I will have a better view on that. But for now, I really try to use it to automate, to aggregate, summarize, and get as much information for myself to make up my own mind as quickly as possible on validated content, I would say. But there of course, are some use cases where you want to rephrase some of your texts, as long as there's no business intel, no confidential data in there. Of course, and I would say an OpenAI or Perplexity or something like that is way better in defining a well-written script or similar than a 30-year-old from Austria. That's its second language, right?
Looping back to something you said earlier, so like with the Series C, you were expecting that this would be your last round, helping you drive towards 100 million ARR and profitability. Obviously, that's great, right? And, congrats. Why that decision? Why not to go Series D, E, and so on, and perhaps, along the path of not being profitable, but looking to continually like push and invest further and maybe faster growth, right?
So we do invest further. But I believe right now we are at the point where we can hit and actually exceed some of the benchmarks that are out there. And we do have like 18 million is a lot of cash. It's a lot. And if you cannot build a sustainable company that scales with their own cash flow at one point, I believe there's something wrong in the fundamental business model. But given that our business model is profitable and was profitable for years before we started really accelerating, I believe there's a point where the acceleration needs to outpace the linear growth of like the people that we have. And to be honest, right now, I believe we already have hired a substantial amount of the people we need to hit that 100 million mark and beyond. And now with AI, I believe there's a chance for us to automate and actually get things done even faster, where I don't plan to add as many headcounts as before. Definitely on the engineering side, I still want that because I believe there's more room for us to do good. But for all the other roles that we have right now, I believe we have a really, really expert team set up right now. And they are utilizing those tools already on a daily basis to get things done quicker. And I want to see that plan out. And if we can see acceleration of growth based on what we're doing right now, and there is another chance where we can outgrow the marketing spend with more profits and higher revenues, maybe we'll do another round. But for now, I have to tell you, I believe we are in a place where we can hit profitability, still grow really, really fast and outpace our competition.
Last question, Dominik. You've been CEO for 8 years. Yeah. What's the hardest thing about being a CEO?
You have to fire and hire yourself literally every 2 years, or at least for me, it was every investment round. I had to rehire myself because every time you leave the company to fundraising in a proper way, where you select the investors you want, I go on this journey on re-interviewing a lot of people, talking about like 16 to 20 hours a day of conversations with many investors to really find the ones that understand what you're trying to build and not just pick a random one. So we were highly selective in the process. We only have 5 investors. And those 5 investors will support us all the way. I'm 100% sure about that. And when I came back, all the things I've been doing prior to an investment round, which takes like 6 to 9 months, people have taken over my job. So, which makes sense. Like that's what you try to do. You try to make yourself redundant, and then you come back into the business. You try to analyze it again. You define your own role in a new way, and then you define, okay, these are the things that I can tackle, and only I can tackle. And then you try to fix those things again and get them rolling, getting the company to be faster, and understanding that you need to adapt quickly. You need to redefine your role every now and then. It's something that is not easy coming from a software engineering background, right? And trying to learn as much from many people and trying to understand who's trying to sell you something and who's actually trying to help you. It's also quite a big difference and something you need to learn. And by now, that's the toughest challenge. And no, actually the toughest challenge throughout the last 8 years is always people topics. So whenever there's another human in the loop, that's the hardest, be it letting somebody go or having to talk them through some really tough family topics that they might have where they need to take a break or anything surrounding that. I believe that's the hardest part that I still need to get used to. But I still love to do it because it's people that we brought on to help us on the journey. And since everybody at Storkblok receives shares, so all the people that started the job at Storkblok receive shares from us and not with a strike price. Literally, we gift it for them so they can like get going. That makes it a little bit easier because even though at one point it might be that we have outgrown a person or similar, they still are part of the journey. They still will make money at the end of an exit event or something similar. Even though we don't plan to exit in the next year or two, there will be a lot of very amazing things coming for them in secondary sales or anything like that for sure.
Well, congrats on everything you've achieved so far and what you've built, and obviously for where you're going, and you know, to the 100 million and the profitability and your own user conference as well. Thanks for being a great guest on the show, Dominik. If people want to reach out to you, if they have questions or listen to the podcast, where's best to reach, find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn would be the best. So just look for Dominik Angerer on LinkedIn. You should be able to find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the SaaS Revolution show. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Alex.